All right. So, dear teenagers, I want you to know that you are not a procrastinator. Calling yourself a procrastinator is one of those things that is only gonna make that behavior to continue to be part of your life. So instead, we want to see procrastination as a behavior. It's a habit. It's something that you learn to do over time. And more importantly than that, procrastinating involves a lot of avoiding. And we avoid things that our brain thinks are going to cause us more stress or sometimes harm. So if you start seeing it as a defense mechanism, it's only a way that our brain is trying to help us reduce stress or relieve stress in some situations where it thinks that that's going to be a high probability. So you can probably relate like procrastinating on that big project, that 5-page essay that you have in high school. Those are common things that most people will procrastinate on. But when it becomes a daily habit, we're procrastinating on the time that we have to get up. The alarm goes off and you hit snooze and it goes off again and you hit snooze, then those are also procrastinating behaviors. But why is it important to not call yourself a procrastinator? So, any negative word that we attribute to ourselves, it's gonna have a negative impact on our being. All our cells are communicating with each other. And I know people don't want to believe that our words and our thoughts are powerful, but they can keep us in those loops because our brain is focusing on what we're focusing on. So if we're saying, I am a procrastinator, then that's what it knows. If it starts switching it up to, for example, I need to create better structure. Okay, structure. Now the brain has a new word and it's going to want to be focusing on structure. You have to stay constant with that. So, in this video, I'm gonna share some tips about things you can do to break these behaviors. But please, most importantly, just stop using that word as a definition of who you are. This connects to like saying, I'm anxious, I'm depressed. Those are emotions. We're allowed to have them, and it's okay to feel them sometimes. So you can say, I was feeling anxious, or I was feeling depressed, or I am feeling depressed. But when you're saying, I am depressed, I am anxious, I am a procrastinator, then those are going to be things that are going to be harder to break because all the power is there for them. So, a big way to start making changes and start getting out of the habits of procrastinating is one, know what's causing you to stress or worry. Why are you avoiding what you have coming up? And once you notice that, start dividing it into like smaller tasks. So, if you have a 5-page essay, then I'm assuming the teacher probably gave a week or two to work on it at least. So that means that you can create like a plan where you're gonna break it up. Maybe one day you're gonna work on an outline, or one another day you're gonna gather resources or do your research, trying to figure out what you're gonna write about. All of these things are steps. So if you start dividing them and you start accomplishing them, you're going to start checking things off. And anytime we get relief, like, oh yay, I did this part, oh awesome, I'm done with that part, then those things are also having a similar effect to when we're having a reward, like, oh, I'm just going to watch TV for 2 hours. Those areas of our brain that feel good are going to activate. So you want to keep your tasks small. Thinking about the big project is going to be overwhelming, is going to make you not want to do it. But if you say, this week I just have to do this part, or today I just have to work on it for 30 minutes, regardless of like how far you get, breaking it up is important. Another important thing is to give yourself breaks. I talk to so many teenagers that say they're working on their homework for hours and hours, and I say, did you get up and take a break? No. Like, how come? We're not used to it. Nobody reminds us to take breaks, but you have to start getting to know yourself. Do you like taking breaks every 30 minutes? Do you like taking breaks every hour? How long are those breaks gonna be? Are they gonna be a 1 minute stretch, stand up stretch? Are they gonna be 5 minutes, get up, walk around, go get water? Or are they gonna be like 10 minutes? Totally need to disconnect, go outside, and then relax and come back. That is really up to you. Everyone's preferences are going to be different. And if you tend to notice that even when you're trying to break things into parts, you end up procrastinating because you know you have a lot of time, then you can either talk to your teacher and come up with an earlier deadline, or you could have this earlier deadline with somebody, maybe like an accountability buddy, maybe with your parent, where you're going to say, like, hey, even though this project is due, let's use this month as an example. Let's say it's due on the 31st of March. You might want to tell your accountability person, let's have it done a week before. And you would set that date. So by that day, you are committing to having it turned in. And who's going to hold you accountable? That person that you agreed to do this with. So that could be a friend, that could be your teacher, that could be your parent. You can decide. Really important is to be consistent. And that's the hard part when we procrastinate. We tend to not be consistent. Oh, I'm only going to watch TV for 30 minutes. Oh, it's 2 hours past the time I said I was going to be watching TV. So we struggle with that. That's okay. It's just important to acknowledge that as well. So this is again where accountabilities can be helpful. Do you have a friend who's working on the same project that you guys could probably meet up and say, let's work on it for an hour every day until it's due or until we finish it? And that's a good way to just keep the momentum going, because a lot of times when we don't have an accountability person, then we feel like no one's watching, so we don't really start working on it. But even if you just say, if you are by yourself, even if you just say, I'm just gonna start and work on it for 5 minutes. The truth is, like, all the researchers that study these behaviors and breaking these cycles, they notice that once a person starts, that's the important part, once you start, you will be able to work past those 5 minutes. Maybe not a full hour, but you will continue to work. So the important part is breaking the habit of waiting to start or avoiding to start. So, just a quick recap. Really important to not attribute that to your personality. That's not part of your personality. That is just a defense mechanism that you learned. And the sooner you learn that you can break it, the easier it is going to be for you, because I'm talking to high school students about high school projects, but these type of behaviors carry on if they're not worked on. They'll happen in college. You've heard of the famous all-nighters. You don't want to be there working on a big project or essay the day before. So Jobs. People procrastinate on jobs as well, or big projects for their companies. So start working on it now. I hope these tips help. If you feel like they'll be helpful for someone else, please also go ahead and share with them. Till the next one.